How are you today? Happy Thanksgiving. I thought I would just do one of those day in the life videos of a miner just kind of running from one spot to another with this prospector, doing a little mining and heading back and doing some refining. So nothing too crazy today. That being said, I always do like to kind of just do these nuts and bolts, everything on the table style videos, just because I think it provides the best example of how these things are done. And so that's what we're going to do. So I am going to go ahead and pull out my prospector. I wasn't sure if I'd already done it. I guess I haven't. You can see the raft is in today. And I know that there's a lot of negative press about the raft right now. It only does this certain amount of cargo. And I think that that's all well warranted. One thing I will say is I don't believe that people are quite understanding if we do this physicalized cargo refactor where, internal storage might take a little bit longer to put in to your ship. Maybe the raft will be able to land and get that cargo, get those 32 SCU standard cargo boxes up sooner. So just a quick thought I'd throw out there. I mean, I'm doing the same thing as everybody else. I'm just guessing on at whether or not it will be quicker at cargo type situations, just because that cargo is outside. And so, but I thought I'd throw that out there. I also do think it's a very cool looking ship. The interior is fantastic. You can really see CIG's progression at layouts and these types of things. So, maybe not all of its features are realized. And also, man, it really does look like it could get longer. I'm not saying it will, or, it does look like it almost could. The back part of that could stick out longer and you could put a bunch more boxes on it, but that's probably not the case. But it's one of those things where you think about, hey, there's an opportunity. All right. So I've jumped up in my prospector, and we are going to just do a real simple mining run today. So thought about this a lot. I think we're just going to head over to HURL3. This is kind of one of my old favorites, CRU1 to HURL3. We'll go ahead and get the ship ready, kick on the engines, and we'll go from there. So up we go, bring up the gear, kind of get the quantum drive spooling up, and we're going to hit it. And so, this Thanksgiving turned out to be a little bit of a bust for us, in the sense that my little guy was running a fever. And when I say little, he's 11, but he's still my little guy. And we just thought, I don't, with my 85-year-old grandfather and my, mom and dad up in years and all the family over that way, we just decided we would stick it out at home. So I spent a couple hours on the couch just kind of vegging, and I thought to myself, I could do something today that would be fun in this capacity. I mean, we watched some David Attenborough, Blue World, and a really good show on National Geographic about the interior of Portugal, which was super fun to watch. But miners do what miners do. I thought I'd head out and do some mining today at some point. So here we are, kind of approaching HURL3, and one of the things that I never know as we approach HURL3 is how long one of these videos is going to go for, because you really just don't know how long it's going to take to locate anything worth mining. I was out here yesterday, and was I out here for a good dang near an hour to find what ended up, I think, eventually being 16 SCU of Quantanium in the refiner. So you have those days, and that's kind of one of the things about mining that kind of brings it into balance. You could certainly go to Lyria every time and go over that and probably find a full load. But, it gets a little boring mining the same places all the time, even though I am a bit of a creature of habit. I did some Daymar mining yesterday. I went to Yella. I flew to the rings around Yella. I went down onto the surface of Yella. I actually mined some hephaestonite, I mined some laranite. I did some other kind of mining, not just headhunting for Quantanium like I had been doing, trying to get things started. And so, this is where we find ourselves. So I like to switch from sticks to mouse and keyboard. When I find myself in a spot where I'm doing kind of the industrial stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of crank it up. We're going to set a speed of around 200 or so. That's what I like to do. And then I'm just going to start kind of, I'll bring in my my scanner a little bit, and I will also focus this thing when I need to. And so normally when you first show up, it might take you a minute or two to drive in here and start getting hits on the active ping. So I'm just using tab to do the active ping right now, and we're looking for our first opportunity. So one of the things that was mentioned to me as I've been doing these videos is that my audio quality wasn't as good, so I did pick up a new mic, and I've been messing around with that a little bit. I still haven't gotten to the point where not that it's not important enough to me. I don't know that I have the time to kind of peel the audio from the video and actually take time and, put kind of some After Effects on the voice to kind of make it warmer or softer, or, cut out some of the things. I'm hoping that I can just kind of get away with it with a good mic. There are such excellent content creators in the Star Citizen universe. And I don't really plan on competing with any of those people. I just like to go mining. My channel's usually always going to focus in or around mining and, and that type of thing. And it's usually going to be kind of a hands-on type thing. I'm not really, there's so many people doing such a great job at the 10,000 foot, the 5,000 foot view. I'm definitely going to do the 17 meter view in a lot of these cases. So looks like we've got our first hit of the day here. We're going to kind of sneak up there. Now I'm going to switch to scanning mode by hitting V. You can see that I just get on the rock a little bit. I'm holding down the left mouse button, and I am scanning it. And it looks to me like we have some tungsten at 27%, 26.48. That's not really going to be what we're looking for. We got another hit down this way, so I'll go ahead and head towards that. And this is going to be us for a little while. Pull out the mining laser here. We'll get one of them. And so one of them was about 8%. What's this one? This one looks like it is 21.13. So that does eclipse our 20% threshold, which, 20%'s not great. I mean, you're always looking for something a little more, but it's good enough. I think 21% is going to be, is a fine amount for a, for a prospector. So first thing I'm going to do is swing around backwards here. One of the things I like to do is not look at the sun when I'm mining. I think that kind of will speak for itself as to why. And so we're just going to kind of come in here now. If you notice in the upper left-hand side, I'm moving in now to bring the effective range into optimal. I actually think the effective range is most effective range is somewhere around 17 or so. We're going to kick on the mining laser, and you can see the distortion that begins to happen in the UI. I think they're going to say it's because this is radioactive, and so or it's it's got some volatility to it. And so that's okay. We can manage that. I've got my Lancet mining laser head on this thing, and I've got plenty of brants. We're going to try and break the first breakdown without using a brant, but we can always use one if we want. It is a 4900 mass at 21.33%. So it's not, this isn't, a super duper duper hard break, but it is something that will, you have to, pay attention to. With 210 basically at every 1,000, and that being almost 5,000, you're going to have a little over 1,000. And so this should be north of slightly north of 20 SCU, roughly. It might be around 21, 22 SCU. Maybe not quite that much, depending on how it breaks. If there's a couple percentage points here and there, and some I may not bother with it. So with the Lancet, it's a little bit slower to put the energy into the rock, so you have to be patient, and that's okay. Right now, my current range is 14.7, 14.8, right in that area. I'm just moving the laser around. There's lots of people who say if you follow these, the laser points or whatever, it will, or the crack points on the rock, you'll find areas where it will go faster or go slower. And certainly I do see some changes when I do that, but I'm not convinced myself that's a thing, or if it's a built-in thing that just happens to the rock on a timer, or if it actually has anything to do with where you're putting the laser on the rock. It would be interesting to talk to somebody from SIG and figure out if there is some kind of a mechanic to that, or if you're just kind of fooling yourself with it. But either way, whatever people enjoy doing, it's okay. So as you can see, it takes a little while to kind of build the energy in. I think I'm going to move into like maybe about 11 or 12. Another thing that I like to tell myself I think makes a difference is how close we are. But we are slowly building energy into it. We're probably starting to get up around, closer, more than halfway now. And it will rise and fall a little bit, but we'll slowly build energy into it, and eventually we'll get to the green. Now, if I had a surge on here, I could have used it, and no question it would have helped. But that's okay. I don't really run with surges right now on my Prospector. Just different people feel differently about different rocks, and different consumables. So you can see we're just starting to get into the green now. I'm keeping an eye on it. As it kind of gets to the topper part of the green, I'll definitely start wheeling down and just kind of watching it now. Looks like it's kind of falling out, so I'm scrolling back up, trying to put some more energy into it. And it can fall out of there. Don't panic. It's I know that you want to get this done in a hurry. Hurries can sometimes cause you a lot of unnecessary pain with Quantanium. So you do need to be somewhat patient about this. And it may fall out for a sec or something, but I think we've got a good break going. So we got that break. Next thing you want to do is identify kind of what rocks have what in it. And start from the top, start from the bottom, start from the left, start from the right, but wherever you want to pick your starting point, but kind of understand. So I know the very bottom rock has nothing in it, and that's it's good. The more of these that have nothing in it, this is going to have a lot in it. Yep, you can tell, and you can tell if you look here, you can tell by the when it's drawing the, sometimes you have to kind of prime it just like I did by hitting it and turning it off real quick. You notice the green's way up towards the top. And then you look at this rock and watch it scan. Now notice how I primed it again. I just kind of I hit it. You can see with the green way down there and that much red, you definitely know you got a lot of Quantanium. And that's actually almost 1,000. That's half the Quantanium that's in this rock. Is darn near half of it's right there. So that's good. Nothing in that one. Let's go ahead and give this guy a scan right here. Nothing in that one. So I think this is excellent. I think we've really got a good break here. It's going to be in 2 or 3 rocks. There's going to be nothing in this one either. So, wow, I've got a remain stationary scan in progress. That's weird to me. Whatever. I don't know where this guy is. I'm going to look around for him. I don't know. So... That is strange that it was a remain stationary scan in progress. Really? So, yeah, so this is how it's broke. It's actually interesting, and you don't see breaks like this very often, so this is kind of cool. All of it is pretty much in this rock right here, except for 17% of it. So, so we're going to start by breaking down the 17% rock first. I didn't even hear that guy say, like, remain stationary. I kind of got got the message to remain stationary, and I don't see anybody on my radar, so I don't know what's going on with that. It's welcome to Star Citizen, you know, and I mean that lovingly. I mean, you know, I pour a tremendous amount of time in this game, and I probably am a little can be guilty of being a little bit of a white knight sometimes, not over the top by any stretch of the imagination, but there's so much dark in the world. I mean, why spend your time worrying about things that you can't necessarily control? It's a little easier just to kind of, you know, kind of day at the beach it a little bit. And, you know, not to the point where you're, you know, putting yourself in danger or hurting your chances to do something. But anyways, we got a 1.87 instability here we got to keep an eye on. And once again, I'm not terribly worried about maybe throwing on my Brant right now either. So you can see we're kind of... This is that patience game I've talked about. Now look how fast it kind of shoots up in there. That's okay. I clipped the power down. Now I put it back up again. We may have to go with the Brant just to kind of... just so it won't necessarily bother us too much. But let's just go ahead and see here. I still haven't fired the Brant. You can see I'm really doing some pretty heavy articulation on the laser power. I'm down to 7%. Getting up into it a little bit isn't terrible. Got to be careful though. You definitely don't want to ruin your real good one. And so look, it looks like I'm going to be able to break this one without using the Brant. This one, however, is going to be too much Quantanium to, you know, this is probably going to be a 2.15, you know, instability. You can see it is. And so we're just going to put a little bit of energy into this guy, and we are definitely going to use a Brant. So, you know, Alt 1, Alt 2, or Alt 3 is how you use your consumables. You know, if you're along for the ride this far, you probably realize that already. And so I am going to go ahead and put a little energy into this guy. I'm going to get close to the green before I fire the Brant. Okay, I just fired the Brant. It's going to smooth things out a little bit. And now its instability is totally manageable at 0.62. And we're just going to kind of keep her in here. Now, it's going to slow down the actual, you know, the amount of time it's going to need to remain in the optimal range, but it's okay. The Brants last a long time. It made this completely, which would have been a very difficult break, a very simple one. And that's an important thing when you're dealing with 923. It's 100% Quantanium, so we're going to go ahead and finish this break, which we just did right now. And we know right off the bat that this is going to be an easy grab. One thing I am going to do real quick before we do that is I will set my... anything that shaves off a second or two is not a bad thing. Make sure we're in extraction mode and we're hauling this stuff in now. So this first little bit is going to be just under 20, or right around 20. Then there's that second little bit. We'll have to look at the individual rocks for that, and that's okay. We'll haul all this stuff in. So we're making that happen. It's a pretty nice chunk, 309. So in we go. And excellent here. We're doing really well. And now we've got to be a little more choosy here about what's what. So I'm going to kind of pop them. Once again, I'm hitting the laser and turning it off real quick to see what's what. There's some borace in that one. But we're not here to get borace, so that's a 14%er. Let's see if there's anything better than that. That is a 32%er. I think, is that all of them? I think it is. So we'll just do the 32%er first. And then we will do the other one. So as you can see, I mentioned there was going to be a little over 20 SCU of Quantanium, and that's where we're going to end up, is a little over 20 SCU Quantanium. So Been at this a little while, so certainly kind of know how that goes. I will do this one. There's some borace in this one, which I think is worth the top off, anyways. And that's really going to be us. I don't even think there's another rock to grab, so even if we wanted to. So we're going to go ahead and put the mining laser away. I'm going to switch back to sticks. We're actually just going to swing clear of the, of that other rock there. And we probably don't even need to. A lot of times when you go into Quantanium, you just kind of clip through things. But just to make sure that we don't bump into something, I've already set the quantum location that we're headed towards, CRUL1. CRUL1 is an excellent place to refine your Quantanium. There's a 5% bonus, which normally offsets your refining losses, or darn close to it. It's almost, kind of depending on your refining process, it can be a good place to do the refining. So we've been out here for a little while. I mean, this isn't a great, we haven't done fantastic or anything, but we've certainly done. Anytime you can take your Prospector out and head back in with over 20 SEU of Quantanium, everything doesn't have to be a unicorn. This is a good amount of Quantanium. You're going to be looking at probably in the neighborhood of 150,000. We'll see. We'll take a look at that as we go ahead and run down to the refinery and put it in there. So we're headed back to CRUL1 with this Quantanium, and we are going to put a priority on a clean landing. We're going to run down to the refinery. We're going to throw this stuff in. We are going to call it a day after that for this particular video. I have some other video ideas. One of the things I want on this channel is for people to see really kind of the, I don't want to do that much editing. I want people to see kind of, the mining loop, warts and all. Not everything's going to be perfect. Not everything's going to go where you're just going to fly out and make tons of money. There's a lot of time that you have to put into mining. It's just one of those things. It's okay. I enjoy it. It's, I would, if there was just a Grisium in this game, I would go mining. I like Star Citizen. I like being in space. I like the idea of the ships. I think that this is literally pound for pound one of the funnest gameplay loops you're ever going to find in a video game. So one of the things I do have. Probably not the most popular drive for some people, but I have what's called the Rush quantum drive on my, and I like it. Has a really nice fast spool time. It's actually a fairly fast drive, and it's very inexpensive. It's only 11 or 12,000. Now I ended up with it because I went over to PO expecting to buy an Atlas, but they're only on HURL 5 now. So, I certainly highly recommend the Atlas. I also highly recommend the VK00. But I have been happy with the Rush. The Rush has good range. It's kind of an in-betweener. It's got decent range. It certainly does the calculations and the spooling relatively quickly. And it's not a slow drive. It's not nearly as slow as, say, the Goliath, the starting one that used. So much faster than the Goliath. Very inexpensive upgrade. And so I'm going to get ready to call the station here. And this is one of those things where it seems like a lot of times I've been having to call the station a couple times lately. What's just funny was when I use my voice recognition, it works every time seamlessly. I don't exactly quite get that one. My mouse clicks aren't as accurate, or whatever the case may be. And you can see. There we go. We got us. So I put the VTOLs down. I've got the gear down. This is kind of some of the pre-landing checks I go through in my mind, making sure the gear's down. You can see we still haven't even got the volatility timer to go off yet, so we're very comfortable. Coming into the refinery. Very, very, very simple speeds. I'm using my sticks. I switch back to sticks for flight, and if I do combat and those other kinds of things, I do the sticks, and I've got everything nice and mapped out. And when I do industrial stuff like mining, I definitely switch to mouse and keyboard. I think it's more precise, it's more exacting a little bit, and so that's the hybrid model I use. It's not for everybody. I totally get that. So I'm going to prioritize kind of making sure that we put this guy down soft. Just kind of nudge her down a little bit, and not the softest, I suppose. So up to the refiner we go. One of the things I like to do is just kind of run over here to the ore sales terminal. This will kind of give me an idea. So okay, so look, this is my point. My unrefined material right now between the borate and the Quantanium is 93,000. So that's going to double. I mean, that's a solid run. Okay, that's nothing to sneeze at. So you do have some refining costs here. We'll begin. You can see I've got some Quantanium, some Agricium, some Hephaestonite, some Agricium, some Laranite. So, as I just only did Quantanium for the first week, 10 days, since whatever, 3.15 dropped. Is it 2 weeks now, or is it just a week? I can't remember. That's maybe 2 weeks. Wow. And so, and that's, you can see I've started to kind of expand out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my work order. Not a bad load of Quantanium. I will also do the borate as well. I'm going to do the Dynic solvanation. You could do the Ferron. There's other ones you can do, and there's really good charts online about what does what. The most important thing for me to say about Dynics is it takes the longest, costs the less, but you get the most material out of the refining job. I'll go ahead and confirm that. And we have completed our, what we set out to do here. So in 1 day and 9 hours, I will be able to come back and haul that, and probably that's around 180,000 or so. So as you can see, I'm sitting at around 1.975. That's not a tremendous amount of money, but we've contributed to purchasing another Prospector. We've helped fund a tremendous amount of stuff with our organization right off the bat. So our industry group is doing really well, I think, for the most part. And that's just me. I'm just one small part of it. And so anyways, I thought I would just kind of swing this guy around here just to finish this off. I just wanted to say you can clearly see, tell the era based on the armor I'm wearing. And, it's Thanksgiving Day, 2021. I wish you all just a wonderful Thanksgiving if you happen to be watching this maybe later in a turkey buzz, that type of thing. This was just kind of a day in the life of your typical average everyday miner, no frills, and so thank you all. If you have any questions about mining, please. I love theory crafting about mining. I'll talk your ear off about the use of the 315P and its tractor beam. But anyways, I love chatting that stuff, so I'm always happy to answer any of your questions or look into anything. So anyways, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you all around the verse.